Joshua opened the leather diary. Inside the cover, in teenage cursive, were 6 rules. They were not government secrets. They were written by a 19-year-old Calitron operator at Oak Ridge. Rule 1. Do not ask what the dials measure. Rule 2. Do not exchange seats with another operator, even during a break. Rule 3. The supervisors are not all employees of the Manhattan Engineer District. Rule 4. Do not let the dial pass 47.
Don't let the dial pass 47? What happens if it does?
On the 14th of August, 1944, at 3:47 a.m., the dials in Bay 9 did pass 47. A power surge spiked the dials to 51 for 43 seconds. 6 of the 8 women working that bay were dead within 5 years. Elizabeth was one of the 2 survivors. She never spoke of it, but she left the diary for her grandson.
She left me a sealed vial too, and a note: do not open until you read the diary. Before I touch the vial, I need to know what she was afraid of.
He turned to the earliest entries. May 1944. Elizabeth wrote of her first day at Y-12-12. They assigned me to Calitron Bay 9. They did not explain the dials. They only told me not to ask. Some supervisors weren't on the roster. I learned not to trust badges.
Rule 3. The supervisors are not all employees of the Manhattan Engineer District. She already knew.
He read late into the night, the diary painting a picture of constant, quiet fear. Joshua set the diary down and went to the wall safe behind his grandmother's old painting. The safe door swung open. Inside, beside a stack of documents, lay the sealed vial. The note was still wrapped around it. Do not open until you read the diary.
I am not ready. I need to find out what happened in Bay 9 that night.
Joshua filed FOIA requests for the Y-12 operations logs, incident reports, and personnel records from 1944. He called the National Archives, but the line rang into voicemail. He left a clipped, urgent message. Then he pulled up declassified maps and old employee directories, tracing the boundaries of Oak Ridge. At the university library, he crouched over a microfiche reader, scanning 1,940 newspaper articles.
Nothing about the surge. No mention of the dials or the deaths. It was wiped clean.
Days passed. He checked his email obsessively, the FOIA portal still showing in progress.
The silence from Washington is as thick as the secrecy Elizabeth described.
He returned to the diary, cross-referencing dates with the sparse history he could find.
She mentioned a supervisor named Mr. Kellerman who never appeared on any official list.
The FOIA request was now in the system. He could only wait and keep reading. Weeks later, a thick envelope arrived from the National Archives. Inside were declassified Y-12 TAC-PAG-12 documents. He pulled out the incident report for the 14th of August, 1944. It described a power surge and minor magnet realignment. No mention of casualties. The official report concluded there was no operational impact.
No operational impact. 6 operators died in 5 years, all from Bay 9. That can't be a coincidence.
Then he found the list of Bay 9 personnel. Names replaced by employee numbers, but the count was clear. 8 women that night. He cross-referenced the numbers with public records. 6 obituaries, all between 1945 and 1949. Cancers and unexplained illnesses. 1 death certificate listed the cause as undetermined acute radiation syndrome.
Radiation? From a magnet realignment? The report lied.
He pinned their photos on a corkboard, drawing a red X through 6 of the 8. 2 survivors, Elizabeth and 1 other who lived into old age.
Grandmother knew the cause. She wrote about it in the diary. I need to read the rest.
Joshua turned the diary pages past the 14th of August. The entries that followed were sparser, the handwriting tighter. September 1944. Margaret didn't come to work today. She went home to Ohio. 2 weeks later, we got the news.
Margaret. Her death certificate said leukemia. diagnosed a month after she left Y negative 12.
October. Betty collapsed at her panel. They said she was tired. She was gone by Christmas. She was 20.
Betty. Brain tumor. The surge was in August. These timelines are impossible.
By spring 1945, Elizabeth's diary had become a grim chronicle. 4 were dead. She wrote their names in the margin, a list of the lost. May 1945. There is a smell at the bay now, like burnt metal and something sweet. The new girls don't notice, but I do.
She thought she was contaminated. Whatever that surge released, it wasn't just a power spike.
He cross-referenced the diary's death dates with his obituaries. Every match confirmed. Elizabeth had watched her friends die, one by one.
She knew Rule 4 wasn't superstition. It was a warning.
He found Elizabeth's entry from the next day, the 15th of August, 1944. She had written it in a rush. Last night, the dials started climbing. We shouted for the supervisor, but he just stood there. The needles went past 47. The whole bay started humming, louder than I'd ever heard. The lights flickered. I saw sparks from the panel. It lasted 43 seconds.
43 seconds. She counted. She was terrified but precise.
She described the moment the dials peaked at 51. The room fell silent. Then, the headsets crackled with static. A voice came through my headset. It wasn't the supervisor. It spoke in full sentences, words I understood.
Rule 6. If you hear a man's voice through the Calutron headset, write down what he says and burn the page. She heard it.
But she didn't burn the page. She kept it secret. She wrote it down in the diary.
The entry just ends here. She didn't write what the voice said. There must be another page. The final entry. July 1945. She must have written it down there.
He found a 1998 obituary for Evelyn Croft. She had been the other survivor from Bay 9. Evelyn never spoke publicly about Oak Ridge. With her death, Elizabeth became the sole keeper of that night's secret.
Dead for over 20 years. Grandmother was the last direct link to what happened.
He turned back to the diary's inside cover, staring at the 6 rules. Rule 6. If you hear a man's voice through the Calutron headset, write down what he says and burn the page.
She didn't burn it. She hid the words in this diary. Why?
He scanned the diary. There were no dates after July 1945. The final entry was all he had left. He resolved to read every entry in order, searching for any clue about the voice. That night, he began again from the first day, making notes on a yellow legal pad.
By the time I reach that final page, I need to be ready. I need to understand.
He read more carefully now, tracing each word. Elizabeth's early entries mixed excitement with growing unease. June 1944. The morning shift girls warned us, never let the dials cross the red line. Bad things happen.
The red line was 47. The older operators knew it was dangerous, unwritten.
July. Supervisors switch us sometimes, but the girls at my panel on Wednesdays are never quite the same.
The women in Bay 9 are not always the same women. She meant something uncanny.
A new supervisor today. He never smiled, never gave his name. His badge had no photo.
Another unnamed supervisor. Like Kellerman, they never existed on paper.
The night before the surge, she wrote of a strange static on the headsets. A hum she'd never heard. The 13th of August. I hear something through the headset, a distant voice trying to reach us. No one else says anything.
One day before the surge, she sensed it. The voice was already there.
Joshua turned to the day of the surge. The 14th of August, 1944. The handwriting was shaking. The entry began. At 3:30 a.m., the dials started climbing. We couldn't find the supervisor. The needles passed 50. The panel began to vibrate. We knew something was wrong. Then a blue arc shot from the console, and the whole bay filled with a metallic shriek. Through the chaos, I heard a man's voice in my headset, calm and foreign. It said something I couldn't understand, but it knew my name. I froze. The entry broke off there. No further detail, just a scribbled note. They all heard it.
She heard the voice, but she didn't write what it said. She buried it deep.
He flipped forward, finding nothing until the final page, dated July 1945.
This is it. Whatever it said, I am about to know.
He found the final page, the leathery smell of old paper and ink. The date, the 2nd of July, 1945. Elizabeth's handwriting was firm but heavy. To my grandson, if you are reading this, I kept my promise.
A promise. To write this down. She knew it would come to me.
I have been afraid to put this in words. The voice on the 14th of August told me things I cannot forget.
She's talking about the voice. What did it say to her?
It said 3 things. I wrote them exactly as I heard them, but the diary continued. Elizabeth had disobeyed Rule 6, refusing to burn the words.
She kept them for me. She wanted me to know.
He looked down at the next line. The words of the voice were there, on the page.
Read it. Read what the voice said.
Hello to the future. The element you are separating is not uranium-235. It is something I am sending to you. Please continue. 2 of you will live long enough to receive my message. Tell your grandson when he is ready. He will know what to do. Joshua's hands turned cold. The voice from the headset had spoken of a grandson.
Grandmother had one son, my father. I am the only grandson. The message was waiting for me.
After the voice's words, Elizabeth had written, I am one of the 2. I do not know what to do. I will leave this diary for whichever grandchild is born to read it. I am sorry, my dear. I love you.
She waited her whole life for me to read this. She held on to that vial for 80 years.
He turned to the old wall safe. The sealed vial sat where he had left it, the note still wrapped around it.
The element the voice was sending. It's inside that vial. An isotope not from this world.
Joshua was holding a message sent across time and a puzzle only he could solve. He lifted the small glass vial from the safe. The dark powder inside was inert, waiting. That the note from Elizabeth was still clear. Open only after reading the diary.
She kept this sealed for 80 years. Whatever's in here, it came through the surge with the voice.
He carried the vial down the hallway to his home lab. Fluorescent lights flickered on over the clean workbench. He set the spectrometer to warm up and pulled out a sterile petri dish. His movements were methodical, purposeful. The vial stayed on the bench, its dark contents catching the cold light.
The isotope is stable. It won't harm me, but it might be something we've never seen before.
He calibrated the mass spectrometer, wondering if it could even read an element not on the periodic table.
Grandmother left this for me. The voice said I would know what to do. Time to find out.
With a steady hand, he picked up the vial and unscrewed the cap. He tipped the dark powder onto a glass slide and slid it under the microscope. The crystalline structure was unlike anything he had studied. Lattice patterns he didn't recognize. He moved to the mass spectrometer, carefully inserting a tiny sample into the chamber. The machine hummed to life. Numbers flickered on the screen, then locked onto a reading. Atomic mass, 312. No known element had that mass. The spectrometer recalibrated itself, but the number stayed. He ran the test again, then again. Same result. The machine wasn't broken. He brought out the Geiger counter and passed it over the sample. The needle didn't move. 0 radiation.
A stable isotope with an atomic mass of 312. It's not on the periodic table. It's not from this world. The voice said it was sending something. This is it. An element from the future, or from somewhere else. I have to find a way to send the message back, he said. I would know what to do. Maybe I can.
He pulled old Calutron manuals from the archives, thick with 1940s diagrams. The electromagnets in Bay 9 were designed to pull uranium isotopes apart at massive power, capable of warping magnetic fields. Under a surge, those fields could stretch space-time, opening a microscopic rift for a signal.
The surge opened a window. The isotope could be the key. Its atomic mass is perfect for stable resonance.
He filled the whiteboard with equations linking Calutron field strength to the unknown element. The math was speculative, but it held. A controlled surge with the isotope at the core might send a voice back.
I could be the voice. But if I do, I close a loop that killed 6 women.
He stared at the equations, the weight of the choice pressing down.
If I don't do it, the message never exists. Grandmother hears nothing. But if I do, I become part of the tragedy.
He knew the theory was sound. The only question was whether he had the courage.
The voice said, I would know what to do. I think I finally understand.
He looked at the equations on the whiteboard, the numbers that could close a loop across decades.
If I don't send the message, their deaths were meaningless. No one will ever know.
The decision settled into him like a cold weight. He would send the signal.
I'll build the transmitter. I'll match the surge exactly. The 14th of August, 1944, 3:47 a.m.
He headed to his garage workshop, where old electronics and decades of inherited equipment waited. With steady hands, he began winding coils and soldering circuits around a central resonance chamber. The isotope vial sat in a custom mount at the core, its dark powder ready to anchor the signal.
43 seconds. That's the window. I have to hold it open that long.
Joshua worked through the night, the soldering iron hissing, each connection a promise kept across time. Coffee cups piled up. Joshua barely slept, his focus narrowing to the device on his workbench. He calibrated the frequency modulator to match the power surge signature from the 1944 report.
The timing must be exact. 3:47 a.m., the 14th of August. Not a second off.
He synced the transmitter's clock to atomic time, running simulations again and again. He programmed the date into the system, using an image of Elizabeth's own the 14th of August diary page as a reference. The transmitter took its final shape, a dense web of wires and copper coils, the dark vial glowing faintly at its heart.
43 seconds. That's the window I have to hold. Any longer, and the rift could collapse.
He ran a low-power test. The isotope hummed, and the air around it shimmered like hot pavement.
It's ready. Every equation, every solder, every sleepless night. I can open the window.
The device sat on the bench, dark and waiting, a key forged from 1944 and 2025. At 3:45 a.m., Joshua stepped up to the transmitter. The microphone felt cold in his hand.
Hello to the future. The element you are separating is not uranium-negative 235. It is something I am sending to you. Please continue. 2 of you will live long enough to receive my message. Tell your grandson when he is ready. He will know what to do.
He lowered the microphone. His thumb rested on the activation switch.
For you, grandmother. For all of them.
He pressed the switch. The transmitter hummed, a deep, resonant tone that vibrated through the floor. Ripples of blue light flowed outward from the isotope, bending the air like heat haze. The clock on the wall read 3:47 a.m. The window was open. The transmission slipped through the rift, reaching across 81 years to a headset in Bay 9. In Bay 9, the dials spiked. Blue arcs crackled across the Calutron. The operators froze. Then, a voice cut through the static on every headset in the bay.
It's the voice from yesterday. It's real.
The man's voice spoke 3 sentences, calm and clear. Every woman in Bay 9 heard them. Hello to the future. The element you are separating is not uranium-negative 235. It is something I am sending to you. Please continue. Two of you will live long enough to receive my message. Tell your grandson, when he is ready, he will know what to do. The static returned, and the bay fell silent. The dials dropped back to 0. Elizabeth looked around the bay. The other women were staring at their headsets, eyes wide. They had all heard it. The loop was complete. A message from 2025 had found its way home. The transmitter went silent. The blue glow faded, leaving only the hum of the fluorescent lights. The vial was empty. The dark powder had vanished, consumed in the burst of light.
It's gone. The isotope was a one-way key. Now it's part of the past. I sent it. I was the voice on the headset, the one grandmother heard.
He stared at the silent machine, the weight of the closed loop pressing on him.
She heard my voice. She wrote down my words. I was the stranger she feared, but I was also her grandson, sending a promise across time. I closed the circle she started.
He understood now. The mystery was never a warning. It was an inheritance.
The 6 rules, the deaths, the fear. It was all to bring me to this moment.
The lab was quiet, but Joshua felt the echo of his voice still traveling through the years. He returned to the quiet study, picked up the leather diary from the nightstand, and turned once more to the final page. I am sorry, my dear. I love you.
She carried that guilt for 80 years, but she had nothing to be sorry for.
He traced her handwriting with his finger, feeling the pressure of her teenage hand across the decades.
The 6 rules weren't prohibitions. They were clues she left for me.
He suddenly saw a memory. Himself at 6 years old, sitting on her lap as she read him a storybook.
She knew I'd be the one. She spent her life preparing me without saying a single word.
He closed the diary and held it against his chest, feeling the weight of her words.
I forgive you, grandmother, and I understand.
The mystery was resolved, but a new question lingered in the silence, like a distant echo, waiting to be heard. The first light of dawn crept through the window, painting the study in soft gold. Joshua stood by the glass, the leather diary cradled in his hands.
She gave me everything. The rules, the fear, the truth, all so I could find my way here.
Outside, the city was silent, the sky shifting from indigo to pale blue.
The loop is closed, but I feel like it just opened a door.
He thought of the empty vial in the lab, the isotope that was never on the periodic table.
If the voice said I would know what to do, maybe there's more to do.
He set the diary on the nightstand, the ribbon bookmark marking the final page.
I'll be ready.
The sun rose fully over the horizon, and the shadows in the room drew back, revealing only one clear path forward. He turned from the window and crossed to the nightstand, where the diary still lay open. With a gentle hand, he closed the cover, letting the ribbon bookmark rest against the aged leather.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'll carry this forward.
He set the diary on the nightstand, a quiet punctuation mark at the end of a long chapter. In the lab, the transmitter sat dark and cold. But on the workbench, inside the empty petri dish, a single point of blue light flickered. It pulsed once, softly, like a heartbeat waiting to be heard. Joshua noticed it from the doorway, the faint reflection catching his eye.
It isn't over. The isotope left a trace.
He glanced back at the diary, then toward the lab. A promise made, and a promise yet to be fulfilled. The 6 rules had led him here. Now, the 7th rule was his alone to write.